React. What we've been doing so far is all vanilla JavaScript. Works in every browser. But we have to kind of do things the hard way a little bit. And when you get into really complex multi-page apps or even single-page apps that do complicated things, that way gets to be a pain in the neck if you're going to add serious functionality. So sometimes you want to use a framework or a library. There are many of these. Angular is a full-blown MVC framework. Ember is another popular one. There's old Angular, Angular 1, and newer Angular. And there's React, which is what we're going to talk about today. It's a good time. You'll like it. Probably. No promises. Remotes work better when plugged into your laptop. So let's talk about React. What is React? Who knows how to read? You know how to read? Sasha knows how to read. Read for us. Oh, read like it and mean it.
A declarative, efficient, and flexible JavaScript library for building user interfaces. It encourages the creation of reusable UI components that present data that changes over time.
Yeah, so this definition was cobbled together from a few different blog posts and the official documentation. So altogether, I think this is a pretty good definition. Yeah, it's a declarative, efficient, and flexible JavaScript library. Encourages the use of reusable components. Okay, so what the heck does that mean? What's declarative? So we're talking declarative versus imperative, just like sentences, except we're not talking about sentences. We're talking about code. So declarative, you describe what you want to do. Imperative, you describe how to do something. What's your favorite restaurant where you sit down?
Sit down restaurant? Ooh.
Yeah.
There's a place called Revival back in my hometown. That's really good.
Revival back in your hometown. All right. So would you like to play the host or hostess of Revival in a little play?
Sure.
Okay.
Hello there. How many today?
Well, let me tell you what I want. I'm Davey. This is my friend Dana.
Okay.
So we want to eat here. So what I need you to do is grab a couple menus, maybe some silverware and napkins. Don't forget the napkins. I'm very sloppy. And I want you to escort us to that table right there.
Okay.
And then when we get there, we're going to sit down. Then if you would just place the menu in front of each of us, put the silverware to the left of the menu maybe. Maybe tell us about the specials. And we're just going to have a seat. And if you could inform a server that we're here, that'd be great because we intend to order food. Okay. How's that sound?
That sounds good to me.
Cool. Declarative or imperative? Imperative. Let's do it. Let's start over. Hi.
Hi there. How many today?
2, please.
2? Okay. Right this way.
End of story. Right? Okay. Yes. So, declarative versus imperative. Another example, driving a car. So, who knows how to drive a manual transmission? A few more steps than driving an automatic, right? Automatic, turn the thing on, you put it in drive, you hit the dang pedal. Manual transmission, push down the clutch, put it in gear, slowly let out the clutch as you push down the pedal to take off. When it gets up to like 3,500 RPM or so, you want to hit the clutch again, do all that. Car does it for you. You just tell it, hey, go fast. Or, excuse me, hey, drive at a reasonable and safe rate of speed. So, declarative versus imperative. Let's use a code example. Oh, yeah. Example 3, making a dang web page. So, we could say, all right, see that list item over there? I want you to make another one just like it. And I want you to make sure that this button in the copy waits for this event to fire. And when it does that, I want you to do these things. I want you to do this every time. Oh, you click the button again. Okay, I want you to do the same. I want you to break down all these steps. Or you could just say, hey, for everything in my array, do this. Instead of breaking down step by step in excruciating detail, saying, okay, I want you to set the text content to this thing. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. So here's another code example. Multiplied by 3. Now, yes, of course, we would really just say *3, right? But even if we needed to implement this ourselves in a function, which version do you think this is? Make a new array, and then I want you to set a variable to 0. Then I want you to set something to that same element in the original array. I want you to multiply that times 3, push it onto a new array. Then I want you to make I 1 bigger than it was. And I want you to keep doing this until I, well, as long as I is less than the length of the original array. I want you to keep doing that. When we're done with that, I want you to return the new array. What does that sound like to you? Declarative or imperative? Imperative. Declarative version. Here we go. For everything in the original array, multiply by 3. Map will automatically give you a new array. You don't have to instantiate the new array yourself. You don't even have to type return. Same thing. So that's kind of the idea, declarative versus imperative. Okay, so it's declarative. It's also efficient. What makes it so dang efficient? It uses what it calls the virtual DOM. So it turns out DOM operations are kind of slow, and a lot of older frameworks, if you, for example, had a list full of list items, and you changed one list item, it's going to redraw the entire list. So maybe you just changed 1 out of 50, it's going to redraw all 50. And although we're not talking like 30 seconds or anything, that's a relatively slow operation. And it just doesn't feel as snappy if you're doing things inefficiently. Never mind the resources you're using on the client computer. But what React does is it stores all your elements or your components as JavaScript objects. And when you're doing manipulation, you're just manipulating JavaScript objects, which is really, really fast. And when you're done, it compares what the virtual DOM looked like before you made those changes to what it looked like after those changes, and it figures out only exactly what it actually needs to redraw, and only redraws that portion. When you do this, even at a relatively small scale, the difference in speed is noticeable, besides the fact that it just consumes fewer resources. So it's very efficient. We're not going to get into gruesome detail about how the virtual DOM works. It's good to know that it's there and that that's how React works. Feel free to Google if you want to learn more. But the point is, it's very efficient, much more efficient than frameworks that predated it. So that's good. And in React, the name of the game is reusable UI components. So suppose you have a list item and you want to make lots of these depending on how many things are in an array. You just write that sucker once as a component, and then you tell it, I want one of these components for everything that's in this array, and it's easy. We tried to rewrite our code in that last project to do this, sort of, by putting something on a page and cloning it, but that was kind of a weird way to accomplish that same thing. But React is all about reusable components, as you will see. They're very nice. Thinking in components is it's kind of a change, but it's really, really nice when you get into it. So it doesn't take all that much to use React on a page at the minimum. So we're going to do just a little tiny React example on CodePen before we get into a new project. Questions so far?